Welcome to the undiscovered history of China. In this episode, we will introduce the Opium War. First, let's understand the background before the war. In the 19th century, the Qing dynasty of Manchus was at the height of its power. However, some problems had already emerged. In the same period, the Qing dynasty introduced the closed-door policy, which made them lag behind the development of the world. Also, from the 17th to the 18th century, populations doubled, but the food was in shortage. More people died due to the famine. Chinese goods such as tea, silk, and porcelain are appealing to Europeans. They sent China Indian cotton to buy those goods. However, countries like Great Britain faced a trade deficit, an unfavorable trade balance, because they imported more Chinese goods than they exported. So Britain sent representatives to negotiate with China, but they failed. To solve the problem, they sent opium, a highly addictive drug, to southern China. The opium had severe consequences to China. Productivity decreased, and the army couldn't fight. The court realized the problem. In 1938, the Daoguang Empire sent Lin Zexu to Guangzhou, the only trading outlet. The former viceroy of Guangzhou and Hunan used 3 ways to fight against opium. First, he gave medical support to those addicts. Second, he urged to punish Chinese opium sellers. And lastly, he believed confiscating inventories and signing regulations could prevent more imports of opium. In March of 1839, Lin Zexu led the army to besiege Shisanhang in Guangzhou, the place where all foreign merchants lived. He took over the opium they held and destroyed them 3 months later, which was the famous destruction of opium at Humen. As we said before, history is always not reliable. Lin Zexu was not merely a national hero who had no drawback. First, Lin Zexu held that, from an ethical standpoint, the British were ashamed of their export of opium to China, but they were not due to their wish to sustain the economy. He also believed that Britain could not launch a war to the Qing dynasty because they had no supply in Asia. But in fact, Britain's war supply came from India. Before the war started, he also wrote to the emperor, "There's nothing to worry. Once foreigners got on the land, we can defeat them easily." His message also misguided the whole country. Every person is complicated, and it's absolutely wrong to evaluate them only based on the good things they have done. So back to the Opium War. After Lin Zexu besieged Shisanhang in Guangzhou, Elliot led the British army and merchants to Macau. Then, Lin Zexu commanded the Chinese Navy to block British ships, preventing them from getting access to food and water. And this is the real trigger of the Opium War. On September 4th of 1839, Elliot commanded the British army to fire towards the Chinese army in Kowloon, a region in Hong Kong. The purpose was to get access to food and water on the land. The First Opium War had 2 stages. The first is from 1839 to 1841. The British army was under Elliot's command. The second stage was from the time when Elliot's substitute, Pottinger, got on the stage, to the time when China was defeated. In the first stage, Elliot led the British army and occupied a region near Ningbo. Lin Zexu had been telling the emperor that the Qing army had been winning. Lin Zexu's message irritated the emperor and he was removed from the office. The new imperial envoy was Qi Shan. Qi Shan promised Elliot that he would satisfy Elliot's requirements if the British army could go back to Guangzhou. In January of 1841, Elliot and Qi Shan both agreed with the pass of the Convention of Chuanbi. Then they were both punished. Elliot had no power to command the army, and Qi Shan was arrested and escorted to Peking. In the second stage of the war, Pottinger also led the army to Ningbo, where they had fought a battle with the Qing army. Two forces' weapons were not at the same level, and many soldiers of the Qing dynasty died. In the summer of 1842, the British army had already arrived in the suburb of Nanjing. The Emperor Daoguang realized that he had no other choice except for signing the treaty with Great Britain. And it was the Treaty of Nanjing that marked the start of a new age in China. Here are some important clauses in the Treaty of Nanjing. Cede the Hong Kong Island to Great Britain. 5,000 cities would all be treaty ports. 21 million silver dollars were paid to Great Britain. Europeans in China lived in their own sections but were subjected to British laws, a practice known as extraterritoriality. The Treaty of Nanjing marked the start of a new age in China, the age of imperialist exploitation. In the next episode, we will introduce the Taiping Rebellion, the most ridiculous rebellion in Chinese history. Thanks for watching.